RVE is located at Bawaleshi near Valley View University on the Adento to Dodowa Highway, Akwanga. RVE is a gated community with 24-hour security. 300 houses will be constructed at RVE, comprising of 3-bedroom, semi-detached and 3-bedroom detached houses. The plot sizes at RVE are generous. Mortgages and flexible payment options available to qualified applicants. Rush now and own a house in Ghana. For more information, contact Pastor Joe Kasinja Anoche on 0790-479-3019. You can also contact Reverend Francis Nunu on 0744-049-4271 and also on 0744-8054-930. You can also email him at fs.nunu@gmail.com. You can also visit us at www.royalvalleyestategh.com. RVE, a place you can call home.
The precise automated affordable high-quality after-sales service for Bentley and Cougar Rolls-Royce cars, charging only 60% of main dealer labor rates. We offer health checks, servicing, diagnostics, air conditioning servicing, all-wheel alignments, pre-purchase inspections, brake repairs, engine removal repairs, and dent repairs. We're a team of highly skilled engineers
online, on mobile, soon on DAB. This is Star Radio UK, the finest Afro-Caribbean radio station in London.
We have suffered a lot. Yes, we know. Your government is taking our oil. It's taking our timber. We know what the son of Kizkadistan have done to our land. We know what he has done to the Indian people. You take diamond, you take gold, you've taken everything from us. And now you don't even want us to have the possibility to breathe.
Online, on mobile, soon on DAB. This is Star Radio UK, the finest Afro-Caribbean radio station in London.
Let's rise and fight and win our nation. Let's rise and fight and win our nation. Let's rise and fight and win our nation. Let's rise and fight and win our nation.
This is Star Radio UK. Online, on mobile, soon on DAB. This is Star
Online,
Radio
on
UK,
mobile,
the finest
soon on
Afro-Caribbean
DAB. This is
radio
Star
station
Radio
in
UK.
London. The finest Afro-Caribbean radio station in London.
Ebenezer Akwanga, Ebenezer Akwanga, Ebenezer Akwanga, Ebenezer Akwanga, Ebenezer Akwanga, Ebenezer Akwanga. Free the Amazonians, Lord save the Amazonians, Lord free the Amazonians, Lord protect the Amazonians. Ebenezer Akwanga, 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 Ebenezer Akwanga. never give up the fight. Yele ma, yele, Ambazonians, never give up the fight. Yele ma, yele, Ambazonians, never give up the fight. Ebenezer Akwanga, Ebenezer Akwanga, Ebenezer Akwanga, Ebenezer Akwanga, Ebenezer Akwanga, Ebenezer Akwanga. Lord, free the Amazonians. Lord, save the Amazonians. Lord, free the Amazonians. Lord, protect the Amazonians. Ebenezer Akwanga, 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 Ebenezer Akwanga. quite godly when it comes to those things. But tonight's show, I'm a bit nervous. I've been thinking about it for a couple of weeks now. Because the person I've got in front of me is an activist. But guess what? We're going to go through his journey and we're going to find out about him. We're going to learn about him. We're going to discover the real person that is sitting in front of us today. Remember, it's Calabash Art Talk. And there's no Calabash Art Talk without the Calabash itself. Even though sometimes we don't have the Calabash in the studio, but we must show it out. That is the Calabash we will do today. A lovely design with. This week, my week, it's been an interesting one, as I said. Lots of up and down. However, that is life. We learn from our mistakes. We learn through our journey. That is what makes us stronger, according to the philosophers. I want to know about your week, and towards the end of the program, we'll talk about our life journey together. Today, I'll introduce my guest. Before I do so, do not forget to actually join us live on Facebook, which is Star Radio UK Facebook page, or Francis K. It's a page. And also you can download the apps if you're not really listening to us on the radio at the moment. Facebook, you can download the app. Star Radio UK, it's available on all Apple and Android devices as well. And on the radio, hello, as we say in Sierra Leone, Kushel. But in Ghana it's Etise, and in Cameroon,
Where it depends from which part of Cameroon you're talking about. I am from the southern Cameroon.
Sava.
No, we don't say Sava. Sava is an alien language. It's a language that deals with annexation.
Okay, so what
We
would
say,
you
how are you?
How are you? That is good. Okay, then I'll pass the
Or
calabash
in
over to
Pidgin,
you.
how you dey?
How are you doing? That sounds similar. That sounds familiar. I'll pass the calabash over to you. This is the calabash answer. The calabash is coming over. Thank you. So you received the calabash. Officially, welcome to Calabash Answer.
Thank
How
you
was your
very much.
journey over here?
It was a little bit bumpy, flying through the North Pole, Iceland, and then coming through Heathrow. I had a little incident at Heathrow, which I don't know whether I should discuss it here or tomorrow during the town hall which I'm having. But I spent about 3 hours at the immigration yesterday.
Really?
And it seems as if someone in Yaoundé was not happy that I was coming to Enugu. Maybe coming to Calabash Hard
Hard
Talk
Talk.
or coming to talk to my people. But here I am.
Welcome. Welcome to the UK and welcome to Star Radio UK. Welcome to Calabash Art Talk. It's
Thank
good
you.
to see you.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you honoring this invitation today. But in Calabash Art Talk, we like to know the person because it's a journey we're going through. Because we want to know you. And also we want to know your background and your journey and your future plans as well. Can you introduce yourself to the viewers, please?
This is one
And
of
the
the most
listeners.
difficult things which, for me in life, talking about myself, because every time there is something that deals with me, I look at it from the perspective of my people.
Okay.
My life, my struggle from my birth to date is the birth, the struggle, the difficulties and the positivities of the life of my people. I was born on the 18th of November 1970 at the seaside resort town of Tico. Tico used to be a booming city with a beautiful airport which has been destroyed through annexation. I'm the last born of 10 children. I have the name Bongo Moluta, which comes from my mother's side. My maternal grandfather, who was one of the first evangelists of the Bible mission. In a nutshell, I am an activist. I am a human rights campaigner, and I am a freedom fighter. That is what my life encompasses. Everything about me. At the age of 13, I joined the African National Congress, and that was almost the same year that I started militating actively for the struggle for the independence of my homeland. At the age of 13, I'm 46 now. When I started questioning certain things that I was seeing, like following the Cameroon national team,
I had to write to the then captain of the national team, called Abegam Bidatiofi, who is of late now, trying to find out. I was 13 by the time I got to 15, trying to find out why there wasn't any person from my own part of that confines called Cameroon at that time in the national team. I wanted to find out whether we were not good enough when I knew we had very good players like Mokube, Ben Bola, Ewunkem, a host of them, Kulu, very great men of soccer who were never given the opportunity to play in the national team. And most of us did not realize that this was just part of the annexation philosophy. Some of us thought that maybe we were not good enough. They taught us to believe in ourselves that we were not good enough to play in the national team. So I realized that things were not the way they're supposed to be, and I started questioning the established ways of doing things at the age of 13. Okay. So this is who I am.
So at the age of 13 years old, you've actually been active in the community. Whilst most 13 years old will be at home, playing games in the African standard, waiting for mom to actually bring food. What inspired you and what led you to that path of life?
My dad was at that time you would call him a world-class politician. My dad was involved with one of the most powerful political parties in the former Southern British Cameroons, as it was called at that time. Mm-hmm. And the party of Emmanuel Mbela Lifafa Indeli, they call it the CPNC, Cameroon People's National Congress. My dad was almost like a spokesman of the party. So my dad had a lot of political documentations. He had telegrams that he exchanged with the leader of the party. Even when the leader came over to New York, when he came over to Lancaster House here in the UK, when they were doing negotiations for the plebiscite, when the Southern Cameroons had self-governing status from the period of 1956, 57, 58 to 59. I read some of those documents myself. Okay. I saw the telegrams exchanges. He even had a book by P.M. Kale, The Political Evolutions of the Cameroons. I was, I think, class 5, class 6, getting to class 7. I was reading all these books. And then he was always talking to me about how things were during those days. He encouraged me to get involved into the political philosophy of the country. And it wasn't just the way I was born and the difficulties my father went through. Because as a member of the CPNC, during that period, in the late 40s, to 50s to 60s, there was a bush war that was fought in La République du Cameroun. By then we were calling it French Cameroon. Okay. We had a political party they called the UPC, Union de Population du Cameroun. They were more communist inclined in their thinking, the period of the Cold War. So most of the members were communist inclined. During the period of that war, they escaped because there were French troops and troops from East Cameroon at that time. That was not yet independent. They escaped over to our own area, which has self-governing status. The Southern Cameroons was the first nation, because we are people, in the whole of Africa, apart from Ghana and Ethiopia, that had self-governing status, that could have elections and people could exchange without any bloodshed, no violence, democratic elections in other ways. So our Prime Minister, John Gofoncha, and the government in Boya at that time, which was our seat of government, gave them refugee status. They came into our land. So troops of French Cameroon could not come into our land to arrest them. That is already signaling to you that we are a different part of French Cameroon. Because if we were one, when they escaped into our territory, they would have just come in and picked them up. But they couldn't do that because we were different from them. We had our own seat of government in Boya. Now, when they came over, most of them were sent to Ghana through Nigeria. You know, Kwame Nkrumah. Yeah. Kwame Nkrumah now received them and gave them accessibility to Moscow. So, by the way, that is why up to date, Ghana has never had diplomatic relations with Yaoundé.
Okay.
Because Yaoundé still holds Ghana responsible for what was ongoing at that time. But I think the decision Ghana took during those years and up to date was the wisest decision any African country would have ever taken. To have a diplomatic relations with Yaoundé is like the devil dining with angels. So they are two different things. Okay. So in a nutshell, I became politically aware because of the political awareness of my family, my dad. My mom didn't go to school.
And you used to read a lot of those articles as well, and you were around your dad.
And the encouragement of my parents. My parents never ever asked me to give up. They only told me one thing, that as you grow up, no matter how difficult things are, stick to the truth. that not everybody will
Stick to
support
the
you.
truth.
And I've stick to the truth. It took me to jail. It has cost me so much, but it has done something very important to me.
You spoke about speaking about the truth, really, and going to jail, because I like to go through the journey with you. So, how many years were you in jail for?
I was sentenced to 20 years in prison. I spent 2 years in solitary confinement and 5 years in a maximum security prison. I am the first prisoner to have ever succeeded to escape from the maximum security prison in Kondenge in Yaoundé. It's located in the Kondenge neighborhood. You go to Ghana, I'm sure there are prisons like that. In Nigeria, we have one famous.
So, how did you
village.
actually escape from prison, if we
Well,
may ask?
my movement, I don't call it, it's not really called an organization. We have a movement, they call the Southern Cameroon Youth League. They took 3 years to prepare on how to get me out of prison. It was done under very, very tight security. We made sure that it never filtered out. 3 good years.
So, since you
until they
escaped from
executed me.
prison, do you actually call yourself a criminal then? How would you describe yourself?
All freedom fighters, if they don't succeed in achieving their goals, they are considered to be either rebels.
Okay.
When they succeed in achieving their goals, they become freedom fighters. That is the way the world is. So, I am not a criminal
Okay.
because at this state where I am prepared to kill for my people. I am prepared to steal for my people. I am prepared to rob for my people. Whatever can bring freedom to my people, I will do it. And I will do it with joy. I will not feel guilty. I will not go and steal from somebody's farm or steal to enrich myself. But if there is something that I can do that will bring freedom to my people, and if I can do it successfully, it means God is with me. Without God being with me, I'm not sure I'll be successful.
You're very passionate about your people, and in a way you're ready to actually even sacrifice your own life for your own people freedom as well, as you say. Is it that the it's Southern Cameroon? So, because my viewers would like to know, who are your people? I know you're Cameroonian, but it's Southern Cameroon, isn't it?
I am not a Cameroonian. I don't want to go
Okay.
into details of why I'm not a Cameroonian, how the
We'd like to
Cameroonian
know,
government refused
because
me.
we say
Okay, now let me
you're
put it this
from
way.
Cameroon.
When I say, no, I'm not from Cameroon. I used to be. I have thought sometime in my life.
Where
that I
were
was
you
a
born? Where were
Cameroonian.
you born?
I was born in the southern British Cameroons.
In Cameroon.
In Tico.
And where were your
The
parents
land which was
originally?
annexed by Cameroon.
Okay.
The
And
French
what about your
Cameroon.
parents? Where were they
My
originally
parents were
from?
all born in the southern British Cameroons, or the
Okay.
British southern Cameroons, as some people want to call it.
Okay.
Some people prefer to call it today as the southern Cameroons,
Southern
or the
Cameroon.
land of Ambazonia.
So how would you actually want me to call it? Is it Southern Cameroon?
You can call it southern Cameroons or Ambazonia. Any of the two.
So
will
you're
go.
Cameroonian then? Cause
No,
you,
I am
you
not
were born in
Cameroonian.
Cameroon.
You hear the word southern Cameroons. I've given you an example that if I was a Cameroonian,
Okay.
when the members of the UPC crossed over and our government gave them protection, French Cameroon troops and troops from France would have equally crossed over and arrested them. But they couldn't do that because we were not the same people.
So do you think they should actually divide Cameroon then?
This is where the problem is. Maybe that word Cameroon is what is causing chaos. Because when you hear southern Cameroons and then you hear Cameroon, you get a little bit mixed up. Let us not forget, the Germans controlled the entire land. They were calling it all Cameroon, including part of Togoland.
But it has never been divided. It's the same Cameroon as a country
is Star
itself.
Radio.
No, Cameroon was never one. It was never one. Let me explain it to you now. Okay. In what we call the layman parlance, the easiest way for you to understand, when a country is one and they go in for the case of independence, both become independent. Not so. Now, if Cameroon was one, I just want to put this in the simplest way. I don't want to go into all the historical gymnastics.
Okay.
If Cameroon was one, why is it that when French Cameroon applied for membership to the United Nations in late 1959, and when they gained independence on the 1st of January 1960, my own British Southern Cameroons, my own Ambazonia was not part of that independent package because we were not one. So French Cameroon, which took the name La République du Cameroun on the 1st of January 1960, before the General Assembly of the United Nations, is not where I was born. It's a different country as a whole. So having that name Cameroon has nothing to do with us being part of it.
But in the whole country as a whole, what passport does actually the entire Cameroon carry?
No, we are an annexed people. When you have been captured, when you have been treated like a captured people, you are annexed. What passport do you use? Let me tell you something. When the Germans took over Poland, when they took over Belgium in the course of either the First or the Second World War, the Polish citizenship disappeared.
Okay.
The Belgian citizenship disappeared. When they took over France and had what they call the Vichy administration, everything there was German. So the Germans control. If they want those people in Vichy France to use German passports, they will impose it upon
So
them.
have you ever applied for Cameroonian passport yourself?
At one time in my life, when I thought I was part of that land, I applied for one and they declared me persona non grata. They said, I am not a Cameroonian, so they can't give me a passport. So they knew in 1993-94 that I, Akwanga, was not a Cameroonian. They rejected me. In other words, they rejected my entire people. That is what they did. I went to them. They said, no, you don't belong here. They said, you belong to Biafra. You belong to Nigeria. Or you belong to a different country. But I was there. So have you ever heard that you declare somebody persona non grata, yet you don't want the person to move? Persona non grata means you are not wanted. Yet I couldn't leave the land. So they rejected me. This is what I want to put. What has happened to me as an individual is not my life. It is the situation of my entire land. My story is the microcosm of the story of every Southern Cameroonian family. Even those who work for the annexationists have suffered the same. Because if most of them were not what my friend's wife, Andre Dimo's wife, calls the privileged slaves. Because in the Southern Cameroons, we have two types of slaves. We have those of us that La Republique sees as real slaves, and then those who call themselves privileged slaves, like the former Prime Minister Musonge and all the others who are around. They are slaves, but they are privileged. Because they are those who are eating the crumbs from the table of the annexationists. So we are all an annexed people.
Okay.
That is who we are. So we are not Cameroonians, we are Ambazonians. And that is one of the reasons why we keep trying to run
But
away
you're
from
still
that
under
word
the
Cameroon.
same Cameroon country.
Well, we are still within that confines because the annexationists uses terror to keep us with them.
Because we cannot say you're Nigerians, because even though you're close.
No, we are not Nigerians.
But you're from
We are
Cameroon.
not Nigerians because we have walked out of the Eastern Regional House of Assembly at Enugu
Okay.
without any bloodshed. The Nigerian, the Federal Republic, or those in the Eastern region at that time, did not hurt us in gunpoint that you are not going anywhere.
Okay.
But maybe because of the Anglo-Saxon culture, the culture of understanding, that is why it was easy for us to walk away without bloodshed. But we are unable to walk away from La République du Cameroon without bloodshed. Not because they love us, because we are a captured people. They have captured us, they are taking our land, they are taking everything from us. As I keep saying, the only thing that we have is the air we breathe. That is the only
So
thing
what
that
do
we
you
take from us.
actually think is causing all this trouble within the Southern Cameroon and the English and the French speaking Cameroon? In your own
We are not
opinion.
Cameroonians. I'm sorry. I will continue to hint on this.
Okay.
We are not Cameroonians. We are Southern Cameroonians or Ambazonians.
So Southern Cameroon,
Yes.
which is the English side of Cameroon.
We are not Cameroonians. I will always reject that. We are not Cameroonians.
Okay.
We are not.
So we get that clear now.
Yeah,
That
we
is
are
fine.
being compelled
Okay.
to pass around that we are Cameroonian because we are an annexed people.
That's
If
fine.
our people have a single opportunity, you see, let me show you something. This is not the flag of Cameroon.
Okay.
This color here is the flag of my homeland.
That's fine.
Okay?
Okay.
Yes. So we are not Cameroonians. We
So
are
have you got
Ambazonians.
an independent yet from the French? Or
No, we don't. They don't need to give us. Look,
independent?
French Cameroon cannot give us independence. Are you getting what I'm saying?
I understand that.
We in 1961, following a plebiscite, were asked to decide whether we want to join two independent existing states, an independent Federal Republic of Nigeria, which has gained its independence on the 1st of October 1960,
Okay.
or an independent La République du Cameroon, which has gained independence on the 1st of January 1960. In other words, La République du Cameroon gained independence before Nigeria. January, October. These are two independent countries and we were in the middle of these two. Now let me tell you what happened. We are victims of the Cold War. You get me? Because French Cameroon had complained that we had given refugee status, which is what is accepted under international law, to escaping individuals, escaping humans from French Cameroon into our homeland. That we have given them refugee status during the civil war that was being fought, the war of independence fought in their own homeland. They now told the British that if they allow us to become on our own, fully independent, which is what the UN demands, we will go communist. So they told the British that, listen, if those guys go communist, if the Southern Cameroons get independent, they'll go communist. And their communism will have an impact upon Nigeria. So you are going to have a communist country in between a French republic and a British-dominated republic, Federal Republic of Nigeria and La République du Cameroon. The British fell into this. Despite there are other scenarios concerning Her Majesty's government thought that we were too poor, that we didn't have natural resources. If they allow us to become independent, we'll be worse off than the Gambia, where we'll be Her Majesty's treasury have to look after us. So we became the Cold War pawn. We were sold. The British actually washed their hands off us. They didn't do what they were supposed to do as an administrative authority and gave us over to the French. And we became like a petit cadeau, a small gift to de Gaulle's government. So we are a victim of the Cold War, and that is why the British government is finding it very difficult to accept their errors, just like what they did to the Kenyans in the period of the Mau Mau.
So just before actually moving from that subject relating to where we are at in Cameroon or not in Cameroon, how would you describe yourself in Africa, and where would you actually find the map of where you're from in Africa? What country would that be?
Amazonia. We are victims of the Cold War.
But in the map of Africa, it doesn't really say.
No, West Africa.
So it's
in
West
the map
Africa.
of Africa, we see ourselves as West Africans.
Africa.
We are not Central Africans.
Okay.
And there are so many reasons. Just look around Central Africa.
But in Africa, we don't really see, when I look at the map, because before I came here, I look at the map, and at the map of Africa, it doesn't really say Amazonian. In the map of Africa, it states a different place, which is Cameroon.
This is the problem. The problem is that, first, Africans are not conscious of what happens in the backyard.
Okay.
They know a lot about European history. They want to study the French Revolution. They want to know about the Magna Carta, the Independence War in the United States. They know very little. They don't take
Africa
interest
itself.
about their own homeland. That is why we are suffering in Africa. I've been to Nigeria, where teachers in secondary school are asking me that, is Southern Cameroon found in Ghana? Is it found in Algeria? I mean, in Nigeria. I'm serious with what I'm telling you. Because people don't take interest in this thing. I can tell you a lot about Biafran history. I can tell you a lot about how Tafawa Balewa died. I can tell you about successive governments in Nigeria or in Ghana or in Burkina Faso or in different countries. Because I am a Pan-Africanist. Africa comes first. Amazonia follows. Then any other country comes. So I'll study the history of the West to link it to what they have done to the people of Africa. That is my goal. So you don't see us. You don't see us on the map of Africa because that map was not drawn by Africans. It was drawn by colonial masters for their own goals. That is why you don't see Amazonia. But we are there.
That is fine. I just wanted to make that clear, and at least we've got your opinion about that. That was the first thing first.
That was why when I came in. Not just mine.
Okay, that is fine. That was why when I came in, I used the word summer because I just wanted to see your reaction and are we actually going to go through that journey. Now we'll come back to you as an individual. What school did you actually attend? Like a primary school and
I went to government primary school in Ndongo. Ndongo is an area which is being controlled mostly by one of the plantations that the Germans created. They call the Cameroon Development Corporation. It was formerly called the Elders and Five. Okay. That was a primary school before I was even born. I left there and went to St. Andrew's Primary School in Bachakagwe in another area they call Mamfe, which is closer to the Cross River area of Nigeria. I left St. Andrews. I came down to Kalik Primary School in Munya. That's another hotspot. Beside Boya, and that is why I did my primary school. Then I went to
secondary school.
Secondary school at the Federal Bilingual High School in Moliko in Boya, which is the capital of the capital of Amazonia, the Southern Cameroons. And then I left there and went to Government High School in Victoria. which was named after the Queen of England, Queen Victoria.
Victoria.
So that is why I did all of my high school, and then I said I would not go to the university if there was just one university in this country and it was found in French Cameroon in Yaoundé. I said I'm not going to the university. So I militated while in high school, writing my advanced level, that we need our own university. So they created our own university. I enrolled into it. I was selected to study languages, the English section. I said, no, I don't want to study English. I will do history. Because I was looking for the future. I want to be in a situation where I will understand the world better, and I'll have the better tools to fight for my people. So I told them that, no, I want to move into the history department. So I was moved from English to history department.
Okay.
And that same year, for the first time, I've always been on the opposing side. This time, my own class, my own history department, wrote an application for me to stand as student union leader. My class wrote it, not me. And then they said, you have to sign. I said, no, I won't sign. This government is not going to be okay. They said, no, you are the only one who could save the students. Sign here. And the reason was because they have followed the trends of what I did in secondary school. So they wanted me to sign, and I signed because my class wanted me to sign that you will save the university. And they were right. I saved the university, but I didn't save myself, because at the end, when I was able to stand up against the increase of tuitions in universities, not just mine, in the entire country, it ended up with my summary dismissal from the university. They banned me from attending any institutions of higher learning in the country.
Wow.
I make an attempt to become a student pastor. The government influenced the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon. Though I was the overall best written and oral candidate, that I will never become a student pastor. They said I will revolutionize the church. Maybe they were right. And then I gained admission to do divinity at the University of Witwatersrand, a scholarship from the African National Congress.
Wow.
And they also said, no, you are not going to South Africa. We won't give you a Cameroonian passport because you are not one of them.
Oh, okay.
And now I was hemmed in. I couldn't move forward. I couldn't move backward. I said, hey, wait a minute. There is something that is higher than all this education and all the rest. The liberation of my people. That is how I brought in some students, youths, and elders. I said, this is time for us to go for freedom. It is not just education. All these are subsets of the freedom of our people. That is how we created the Southern Cameroon.
The question I wanted to ask earlier on that I wasn't really sure how to put it, I'll bring it back to you now. Do you actually describe yourself as a rebel or as an activist?
I'm a freedom fighter. I don't know that word.
But
is
some
used
people
mostly
will
in the
actually
60s.
describe you as a rebel when it comes to the governmental side of things.
What is rebellion? And who is a rebel? When you challenge established ways of doing things, you are rebelling. Are you getting me? Let me give you an example. Do you know Jesus Christ rebelled against those who wanted to use his father's house
The angels?
for exchanges? They used the temple for marketing and the rest. What Christ did there, what Jesus did there, is what we call rebellion. He rebelled against the established ways of doing things. He rebelled against the status quo. Martin Luther King shook the very foundation of American democracy by rebelling against what? The established ways of doing things. Eugene Bull Connor, the governor of the South in Alabama, and all the others, Luther rebelled against him alongside all the members of the civil rights movement. The same thing Mahatma Karamchand Gandhi did in India when he rebelled alongside other Indians against British domination of the Indian people.
So basically,
who
you're
is a rebel?
telling me that you're a rebel. So I understand that.
It
fully.
depends on what connotation you call it.
Okay.
Look, I am rebellious against tyranny. Paul Biya is rebellious against freedom. So we are all rebels. It depends on which connotation, how you look at it.
Okay, that is fine. Now, let's get back to your journey, because I like to go through the journey of the calabash, which we're going through right now. So we'll find out about who you are, where you're from. We'll find out about your parents, your childhood. Now, we'll get back to your prison days. How was it like being in prison for 7 years? If I was right, it's 7 years, isn't it?
If there's anything that is worse than a nightmare, my imprisonment was worse than a nightmare. Look, I don't know why there are children in the United States, in particular North America, watching this program at the moment.
Okay.
But
They will do.
this
sir.
is an issue which at times I find it very difficult to talk about. But let me make an attempt. When I was arrested on the 24th of March 1997, what was done to me? The first thing they did was they described me as Mr. Ambazonian. That was the name they called me. Mr. Ambazonian. I was undressed. They left me with my pant. They threw water on the floor. They dumped me on it. When they removed me, they took me over to a town they call Kumbo. Kumbo is the heartbeat of our liberation struggle. I was beaten with a machete, which we call manores, under the soles of my leg.
Wow.
The people who did that studied this form of torture from communist Russia during the period of the Bolshevik revolutions
Wow.
in
I'll
1917.
put this down a bit.
I was beaten more than 250 strokes on the sole of my feet. If you look at my feet up to date, at the sole of my feet, you will see marks. Then they asked me to dance on sharp gravels. You know these very sharp gravels that people used to build houses. Stones that have been cracked. I have to dance on those gravels because my legs were swollen. I now realized I didn't know why they asked me to dance on those gravels. After beating me 250 strokes, they were scared that my legs would get swollen. So in order for me to be prepared for more beating, I need to dance on those sharp gravels so that blood, clot will not remain on the sole of my feet. And I was dancing and singing what they asked me to sing. Paul Biya before God. That is what I was singing. For the first time, I was asked to deny God. I was dancing that Paul Biya comes before God. After they have done that to me, they put my legs in between chairs so that I can't shake. And then somebody was holding me, and they climbed on my knees with their military shoes. And then they were able to beat me. So there is no... I shouted until I couldn't say anything any longer. I lost control. I went unconscious. That was just part one. Scene one. They took me now from Kumbu to upstation in the National Gendarmerie headquarters. That is where I was sexually molested by female gendarmes. They undressed me, a matured man with a family. And they went on my private, they were fondling it and making a fun of me. That wasn't all. That is part 2, scene 1. In the night of the 27th and 28th of March 1997, they put me behind a white Helios pickup. Hands chained behind, legs chained. I could not sit, I have to lay flat. And the leg of the gendarmes who were sitting behind, they shot the tarpaulin, their legs were on me. By the grace of God, they realized that I'm going to die before we reach Yaoundé. We reach a certain part on that route I've never taken before, they call Makenene. When they realized that, one of them touched me and realized I was getting cold. They woke me up. My eyes were already turned. They bought a 1.5 liter of water, opened my mouth, and just pour in the water. The water was just going in. How I survived, I can't tell you. They took me to the National Gendarmerie.
It wasn't your time.
They took me to the National Gendarmerie. That night, we were 24 of us. They separated me from the rest of the 23, put me in a cell where they removed the chains that were on me and put other chains where if I make any movement on my legs, the veins in between my legs behind will cut. And they dumped me on the urinary inside the cell. I was in that state for 29 days. No shower, nothing. I was stinking. You see this mark? This is the mark of the boot of a gun, the file. When they attempted to remove my tooth, all my teeth, I beg your pardon, when they caught me at Jakiri on the 24th of March. The blood here, this had never been treated. It healed on its own. There, when they chained me, after 29 days, they removed me. I have to, it's underground cell. I have to climb more than 25 stairs to go upstairs. They wanted a French journalist, a white, to
This
come
is
and
SCYL
videotape
Radio
us.
UK.
When the journalist came, when I came out of that cell, because I couldn't go up, I creeped as Nebuchadnezzar creeped when he became an animal for disobeying God. I creeped because I couldn't shake my leg. Every step I make with my hands, it looks as if my legs are giving part. When the head of the gendarmerie, who is a general now, a local being jock, Daniel, saw me, he shouted. He said, I haven't asked you people to kill him. Why have you done this? That is what he said to me. Now, he asked that they should release those chains on my legs. That wasn't all. The chains were released. At that very time, the chains were released. That is exactly what was done. That is exactly what was done. So now they released the chain. The gendarme threw, the white guy threw his camera, and the gendarme picked up the camera and took us pictures. Now, in a nutshell, when I was finally sent to prison, I am sure I am the only person who went on solitary confinement for 2 years and was fed with human feces and urine for 2 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
As a means to survive. They gave it to me. You have to eat it. All this thing you hear of mock assassination, I went through it. Waterboarding is nothing. I don't even think that those who are locked up in Guantanamo Bay are asked to eat human feces and urine. I ate that for my people. Just imagine what they did to me. Just imagine what they might be doing to my people that they have arrested at this moment. Just imagine what they are doing to my people at this moment. This is what the world is not aware. The world is not aware because the conscience of the world is almost dead towards the plight of my people. This is just me alone. This is just part of what these people did to me. I can show you my body. They took plastic bags, set fire on it, and it was dropping on me all over my thighs for those plastic bags to drop on me. You can imagine that type of thing to do to a human being. So I've gone through all. They burned a lot of plastic bags, took my head and put on the fire. That is why you see I'm wearing this stuff. My father at the age of 87 never wore glasses. Neither my mom. I'm wearing this. When I carry this on every time, I think of the suffering of my people. I think of all those who have stood with me all these years. The Lucas Chuayaba, the Benedict Gwana. I think of my wife Agnes. I think of my children. I think of my late parents who have died. I don't even know where they have been buried. I think of Julius Ngundi. I think of Kang Zakaria. I think of these men who died with me in prison. And they were left for rats to start eating them. Eating their eyes. I think of Fire Lawrence, buried in an unmasked grave. I think of Divine Sambela, Julius Akum, young boys from the university, just murdered a few months ago. I think of these men and women. I think of all those who have been picked up. The Barrister Bala, the Fontaine, the BBC Mancho, the T. Cora, the Ngalin Felix, Kang Zakaria, whose toes were amputated, cats. He committed no crime. He simply asked for freedom. This is Africa. This is not apartheid South Africa where they say it's white versus white. These are black people doing this to other black people. This is what they are doing to our people. My story epitomizes the story of my people. I can't, if I have to sit here to tell you everything they did to me.
Does that torture actually still happen in Cameroon presently?
I am telling you what La République du Cameroon is doing now at this moment. As I'm talking to you, there are Southern Cameroonians who are wailing at this moment because they can't go to sleep for what they are doing to them. There is no exaggeration. Instead, maybe I'm not explaining it better. It is worse than evil. It's a nightmare. This is what they are doing to my people at this moment. There's no exaggeration.
So what do you think can actually be done differently, in your opinion?
To be done differently?
Yes, like in the government now. What could be done differently so that these things would not be happening?
Which government?
The Southern Cameroon.
Oh, what could the Southern Cameroon's government
do differently? Well, the movement.
What could the Southern Cameroon's movement do differently? Listen.
So that at least the people would not really
For 55 years,
torture.
we have been caged for 55 years. For 55 years, we have been thingified. We have been dehumanized. We have been depersonalized. We have cried. We have done all what is possible. No one seems to listen to us. We have done what I have coined in liberation theology. The 3H. We have used our heads. We have gone to the courts. We have one of the brightest legal luminaries in the world. We have written to different courts. We have won cases. Even against Cameroon at the African Human Rights Commission, People's and Human Rights Commission in Banjul, where they asked the government of Cameroon to negotiate with us. We've taken Cameroon to different courts. I myself won against them in Geneva, the UN Human Rights Committee.
Human Rights Commission. I read about it.
That's using our heads. We have used our hearts. That is to appeal to the conscience of a docile humanity. We have marched on the streets. When we march in Bamenda, they shoot at us. When we march in Boya, they kill us. They maim our people in Kumba, in the streets of Kumbo, in the streets of Bamuka. They kill our people in Womb. All over our land is bloodshed. We have come to the European capitals, from London to Brussels, to Den Haag, to Bonn and Berlin, to Washington, D.C. We have marched everywhere. That is using our hearts to try to appeal to the rest of the world. So we have done what any modern liberation people seeking for liberation will do. We've used our heads, we've used our hearts. The only thing we haven't done, that is the last cut and the last option, is to use our hands. And that is the only way that our people can achieve that independence. That our people can be free from this very evil annexationist regime that has held us captive for 55 years. A people who have treated us so mean, they don't even see us as if we are a little bit equal. We are not even second class. We are something worse than that. We are worse than the halves in their eyes.
So when you say the people, the only thing that is left, because I feel your pain, as you were talking through there, I could actually feel that pain. Because it actually brings back things, because I've been through war myself in Sierra Leone, when we had the Sierra Leone Rebel War, even though I was a bit young, but I could remember everything that went on through there. So that pain actually brought it all the way back to me. But when you say the only thing that is left is for the people to use their arms, in a way, is it igniting war, igniting freedom through fighting for the freedom?
What is war? That is the question we should ask ourselves. For 55 years, we have been at war. Unfortunately, the world has not been listening to us because it is one side that has been prosecuting that war. For 55 years, La République du Cameroon has been fighting us. They are not only fighting us, they have tied our hands behind. And then they are fighting us. It's like you come out of school, you tell somebody that is your friend, let's go and fight. Why you say you want to fight with a friend, you tell your own friends to tie the hands of the other person. And then you are blowing that person constantly. That is unacceptable. First, it is an unfair way of executing war. So they have been killing us. For 55 years, they are armed. They use our oil, our gold, our diamond, our ore, our banana, our timber. They use all this wealth to buy equipment to kill our people.
So why is the international community not getting involved there?
Oh yes, because we have not been fighting. If we will have to fight back, where people will start dying, where the British Petroleum and other parastatals in the UK will see their interests threatened, where French interests will be threatened, where the United States will realize that, oh, another refugee situation is coming up in West Africa. We don't need to go down the road of long sleeve and short sleeve. You are from Sierra Leone, you know what I'm talking about. But what I'm saying is, if we are not capable of defending ourselves, of letting La République du Cameroon know that we have grown enough and that our ability to defend ourselves is enshrined under international law.
So when you're saying defend yourself in the African way, is it igniting war or defending yourself?
No, we are not
in a
igniting
way?
war. We are defending ourselves because we are already at war. That is what I'm saying. Are you not getting me? I'm saying that we are at war. Unfortunately, one side has been fighting that war, while we have been taking the Bible, putting it on our forehead, and trying to preach more than Jesus, who brought the New Testament to us. So what I'm saying is simple. We have two options. Either we defend our homeland, defend our way of life and our culture, or they will extinct us. They will wipe every one of us. And that is unacceptable under international law. We are humans. We don't want the UK. We are not looking for the UN or anybody to save us. We have the capacity to save ourselves. Because when God created us, He gave us a head, He gave us hearts, and He gave us hands. He's given us all the abilities to use. He will back us. He will stand with us because He has always been with us. That is why I'm alive. That is why even though they continue to do these evil things on us, we are still going strong. Other people would have crumbled. We will never crumble because our cause is just. But that justness of our cause will not be accomplished if we think we can use just our head, our hearts, without our hands. I call it the 3H philosophy. The head, the heart, and the hands. There is no modern liberation struggle that will not use these 3 options. And that is what we have been using for years. And tomorrow I'll be talking to the people in the town hall to give them ample evidence that we have used all these options except using our hands. And now it's time for us to go down that road to use our hands so that it can complement what the head and the heart have been doing for all these years.
So, you've actually been an activist since you were 13 years old, according to your history. And also you've been through lots of things which are incredible how you survive basically right now. And your journey, your story so far, has been an incredible one. It's been a journey whereby even myself, I'm amazed sitting next to you. I feel honored really listening to you talking right now. And thanks for being in Calabash Talk. However, if Southern Cameroon become independent, do you see yourself as a president of that nation?
That's not my goal. I just want freedom. This is what I have said to people. If I wanted to work with the annexationists, I would have been a minister or maybe a prime minister. As a student leader in the University of Boya.
Because you've always been a leader. So why not?
I created the Students' Union. They gave me money. They did everything to buy me over. They wanted to open me a bank account. They wanted to build me a house. They wanted to buy me a car and let me study to a higher level. I told them, listen, this is what I want you to know. If you add 5 francs upon the existing tuition, I will shut down all schools in the country. They thought I was joking. I did that. I did that alongside those who saw reason in what I was doing. But I did it non-violently because I went on fasting and I prayed to God. But there comes a time when you have to change your tactics based on the tactics of the occupier. So now, this is what I want you to understand. There is nothing, any man in this world who have not seen something worth dying for is not fit to live. Being president is out of place. It is totally out of place. We cannot be talking about that when people are dying. I am looking at liberating myself, liberating my people, that we come together as a people and free ourselves from this scourge of barbarism, this scourge of tyranny, this scourge of this man's inhumanity to man. I am thinking that there will be more better people qualified than me who could run a country. I've always been on the opposing side. I might become a watchdog to sit and watch and make sure that that beautiful country that I want to build in my head, in the head of my friends and loved ones, should not be derailed by individuals who might have been corrupted by 55 or 60 years with La République du Cameroon. I am not going to become president. That is out of place. We don't even know the type of government we are going to run. I am gunning for freedom, and this is what I've told our people. If I want to become president, then I will be very careful in what I'm doing. I will make sure I stay back and allow others to fight, and when the time comes, I go create a political party and fight for it. I am not sure I might even see that day of freedom, but I am sure that even if I'm dead, freedom will come for my people, it will come for my son, for my daughters, and for everybody in the land of Ambazonia. So my goal is strictly simple. We want freedom, and we are going to get that freedom. If rivers of blood will have to flow now from what has already been flown, let it be our blood. But it should not be in vain.
What would you actually say about other people saying it's all in your head? It's not really reality, or it's not really what other Southern Cameroonians are thinking about to have freedom from the Cameroon state itself? Because some people might say, oh, Dr. Akwanga, it's all in your head. It's just what you're thinking about. Even the majority of other people might support your movement. What would you say to those people, the minority of people who does not really support your movement and your way of thinking?
This is not politics. So I'm not campaigning for majority votes. I've told the people that you can hate me the way I speak. You can hate whatever you think about me, but you can't hate the truth. I don't want people to like me.
Okay.
I don't even want them to love me. I want them to believe in what I'm saying. You see here in the studio, there are 2 gentlemen sitting here.
Yeah.
One is a doctor. They are great men. Okay? I didn't bribe them to come over here. They drove me over here. They welcomed me here in the UK. They received me here in the UK. It is a team. It's my people who paid my flight to come over here. My family allowed me to move around the world to do this job. The only salary I receive in this job is satisfaction. That they are at least a people who are determined and willing to change their own faith. It is not in my head. Because if it was in my head, La République du Cameroon will not be on a panic mode in such a way that I have to stay at immigration in the UK for 3 hours. UK, where I came here and stayed for 3 years. UK, where I can come in and out at any time as a US citizen. Only for them to tell me at the end of the day, we are sorry. It is not in my head. If it was in my head, they would not send secret agents to come after me that I will miss 5 assassinations up to this age. It is not in my head. If it is in my head, then Jesus Christ never came to this world. And everything about Christendom is a fallacy. It is not in my head. Because you can see the suffering of my people. You hear I say my people. Because they are my people. I take this struggle very personal. I've asked everyone, Ambazonian, every individual, to treat this as a personal issue. Because the oath I gave to them, the oath I administered the Mancom Sentinel Municipal Stadium, which I equally administered at Mount Mary, was simple. That Southern Cameroons must win this war. Because I knew we were at war. People were scared of hearing that word war. They don't know that there is both Cold War and Hot War. We have been at the edge of Cold War. La République has been at the edge of Hot War. If we don't make hot and hot to meet together, we will never be free. I said Southern Cameroons must win this war. Therefore, I, Akwanga, will work, will serve, will save, will sacrifice, will endure, and will fight cheerfully and do my utmost, even unto death, as if the issue of the whole struggle depends on me alone. So help me God. Because if I don't want it to depend on me alone as an individual, then I will not be able to be my neighbor's keeper. So I want every individual to look at it as personal and let each of us become our neighbor's keeper. And that is what I'm asking you. That don't just be a journalist for what you are doing. I'm asking our brother, the technician, not just to be a journalist. As Africans, you must be involved in this struggle. That there comes a time when you will say that as a journalist, you try to imbue yourself into the understanding and struggle of the people. I've said this to other journalists who are white, that please don't just report about the situation in our country. Put yourself in our situation. Because if you don't do that and save some lives, tomorrow your conscience will judge you. Remember what happened in Rwanda. There are journalists who failed in their mission to report the truth. And they are regretting today that indirectly they helped in the genocide in Rwanda.
Dr. Akwanga, we're actually having a lot of phone calls at the moment that are coming in the studio. Everyone wants to ask you questions. However, I'm actually just going to say to the listeners at home and the viewers on Facebook Live that we're not picking up phone calls yet. We'll pick up phone calls half an hour before the end of the program. Because if we interrupt now, we wouldn't really get to know your views, your thoughts. So this is Calabash Ad Talk, and we'd like to know about you. It's a journey through life. After we get to know your journey, then we can entertain phone calls and we can entertain messages on and WhatsApp or Skype, anything. It's there for you to call. So now back to our journey. So please, our Facebook viewers and our listeners on the radio, we will pick up phone calls, but not yet. We need to learn more about the man in front of us. That's what I believed in, because it's your show. It's your time with the Calabash and it's your journey. Then we can pick up phone calls later. So now, back to our journey. Sorry for the interruption, just the phone calls were really coming in. In our journey, we actually to the prison. That's where we are right now in your journey. I believe what you went through in prison, in my own personal opinion, as a human being, was awful, according to your explanation. It violates someone's human right. So we actually want to know, the viewers, the listeners, and I believe your people and my people as well, how did you actually cope in that prison cell? What actually what give you the drive to survive? Because there must be something that you were thinking about or thought about or yourself that actually gives you that drive to survive after what you've been through.
In 1997, no, in 1995-96, I got a vision at 3 p.m. I used to stay in a Carabout building. It's a plank building that is close to the Apostolic Church in a town they call Lower Bulifamba, my 16. I was sitting in front of my door, the one-room house. I had a flower beside me they call Queen of the Night. That gives very beautiful odor. 3 p.m. The heavens opened. And I saw a writing on the wall. I could identify that that writing was either Jewish or Hebrew because I couldn't read it. I was sitting. I could not tell you how long I sat there and saw that. But what I knew was there were two people who were with me.
This is Star Radio UK.
Christopher Fomunyen Batango, who was the spokesman of the Youth League, was standing by my left because we were conversing. He's dead. And one other brother, Ebai Joseph, he too is dead. The heavens opened. That was the day God told me you will go to prison. But I will bring you out. I saw the writing and I heard the voices. They were with me. They did not notice what was happening to me. That was the first incident in my life. I got two other visions. The other vision, the most dramatic part of it, was when I was paralyzed. Why in solitary confinement? I woke up one morning. My mouth was twisted this way. And spectrum was coming out of my mouth like somebody who is epileptic. And I discovered on the right side of my body, I couldn't walk up my body. I was like this for 3 years, moving with a can. The only thing I could wear were those type of tight-fitting stuff that you see when those people are acting this Romeo and Juliet film. You watch them wear them in that era. After 3 years, God spoke to me again. This time at the heart of quarter 3 in the maximum security prison in Kondenge. I was moving with a can. At 3 p.m., that can cut into two. I started walking. How did I survive? I survived because I was not convinced to join the struggle. I was born into this struggle as a child from a mom and dad whose land has been captured. I grew up as the child of slaves because my land has been captured. My parents had what you would call limited freedom because they had a passbook. If you don't have that passbook, you don't have your tax papers, you will be arrested. I was prepared through this journey in the hands of the Lord. So by the time I went to prison, my mind was already set up that I will go to prison and I will come back. When I went to prison, I knew part of the Lord's promise to me has been fulfilled. The other part on when I will come out, I didn't know how that will be fulfilled. I didn't know how it will be done. Until the day I arrived in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, pick up a satellite phone, call my family, my wife, and said, I am in Nigeria. How did I do it? From a hospital bed, almost dead, sick of neurological issues, where they took me, they did brain scanning twice and they saw nothing. They did tests for AIDS, they saw nothing. But when they took me photographs, my image has left me. The person who took the pictures, when he watched them, he went and watched them beside a hotel they called in Yaoundé Montphoebe. He threw the pictures because he couldn't believe what he was seeing. I was on the hospital bed, but my shadow has left me. The pictures are awful. Some of them are on Facebook now. They are on YouTube. So I survived because the Lord had prepared me. Not because I am perfect. Despite my imperfection, God decides who He chooses to use. He doesn't choose you alone. He chooses you and chooses other people. That is why Moses was not alone. He had the Aarons and others who worked with him, the Joshua and the others. God knows why he wants me to do this job. And when his time will come, I will go home, and I will go home a happy person. How it will happen, he has not yet told me. So I survived in prison because I knew that the consequences of what I was doing, which entails the freedom of my homeland, would either take me to prison or might end with my death. I had prepared myself for that. And if any individual in this struggle have not prepared for any of these two options, then they will always be shocked when they see negativities coming out. When they see difficulties coming their way, they will always want to give up. That is how the world is. We were not all created to be the same. We each have our own part to play in this world. And every individual part we play is as important as the part that I am playing, that God has asked me to do. So we all have our parts. I can assure you that in this struggle for my people, this is the part you are playing. This is the part that our brother is playing. For you to ask me to come over and fly over from the United States to sit here and talk to you, it is the part God has put for each and every one of us. What we don't know, I don't carry the Bible on my forehead, but I believe there is a living God. So we each have our role. Those who stopped me at the airport for 3 hours, they were just playing their own role. You know what they did? They played the role where God at the end of the day came out triumphant against evil. So we each have a part to play. But when we play this part, let us do it so well, so that tomorrow history will write it down. History will reckon it that we once lived great sweepers. If you want to sweep the streets, sweep it so well and sweep it with joy. If you want to fight for freedom, fight so well and fight with joy. Because those obstacles that you find on your way, they are not there to break you. They are there to solidify you and prepare you for better days ahead.
That's true.
That is what made me to survive in prison.
That's true. Professor Akwanga, well, Professor now in my world, we actually will be coming towards the end of the program soon. However, I actually want to ask you a few questions. When you were actually we'll be going for break soon. When you was in the, because you spoke about the hospital bed and the photos, I've seen some of the photos, they're horrific. When you were in the hospital bed yourself, right? What were you thinking when you survived it? Survived the prison, survived walking through that bottles, all the tortures yourself, as you described, which are horrific. What was your thought process during that moment, if I can actually bring you back?
Let me tell you something. When I was in solitary confinement, and I said I suffer paralysis of my lower limb, you can read everything online.
Yes.
I was carried to the hospital in a wheelbarrow. They took me because I was so feeble. They thought I would die. They put me in a wheelbarrow used in the prison garden. As dirty as it was, they put me in that wheelbarrow. That was my ambulance. Can you understand what I mean? Wheelbarrow, not a truck. So my legs were dangling. Nobody cares what happened to my legs. And then they managed to support my head on a very light pillow. And they were pushing me. And then the wheelbarrow was squeezing. It was making pring, pring. As they were going, people by the roadside were coming because of the noise of the wheelbarrow. That the wheels have not been ironed. That is the ambulance that led me to the hospital. I want you to understand how degrading it is. They took me to the hospital in a wheelbarrow. 2 days after, out of anger, some senior officers, prison officers, who come from the same tribe with beer, brought me back to prison. And in the morning, they were surprised that international radios were announcing that I was dying in prison. They took me back to the hospital. Then the two doctors, Dr. Ndam, who comes from La République du Cameroon, is Bamou, and Dr. Ngassa, who comes from Bamlekiland, he's in the La République du Cameroon, saw a newspaper called Le Messager. Front page was my picture, and what the title was, Le Calvaire des prisonniers en fou. That is the Calvary of a political prisoner in Fou prison. When they saw it, they came to my bedside and said, "This is you." I said, "Yes." they took a vow that they will not send me to Yaoundé, that if I go to Yaoundé, they are sure I will be killed. That they will do whatever it takes to treat me. They said it was a privilege for them to treat somebody like me. These were citizens of La République du Cameroon. They were playing their own part to protect me. That is the work of God. They kept me there. Brigitte Brenly, who is from Switzerland, a white lady. There was what they call the Coopération Cameroun Jura Suisse. Jura is a region in Switzerland that was having a cooperation with the Department of the Division of Mfu. Mefu Afamba, I beg your pardon. So they were taking care of that hospital with medications. That white lady was not supposed to work on patients, but she came and worked on me. That is the work of God. I spent 2 months there. I was never healed. They merely stabilized me and sent me back to prison. Before finally I was sent back to Yaoundé to go face trial at the military tribunal. So, in a nutshell,
Surviving the hospital bed, how does that make you feel?
in a nutshell, when I went now to the central, the hospital in 2003, the Yaoundé Central Hospital, which they call the reference hospital, do you know where I was kept? My ward was sharing boundary with the mortuary. The mortuary was just opposite. So if you moved me from my ward, from my bed,
Straight to the
there were
mortuary.
corpses every second. People were crying just opposite me. So I told somebody, they started laughing. I said, you see, if I die here, they don't need to go round. They just need to carry my small feeble body and just pass down the fence and just take me into the mortuary. They don't need to go far. After I'm useless, I'm nothing to them. So they made sure I was beside the mortuary. That's actually where the neurological section is. Not far from where patients with the HIV virus are. So that is where I was. So how did I survive it? I received all types of visitors in hospital. There were people who came from the presidency. They were not coming to say Asia in the African way. They were coming to see why it was taking too long for me to die. Because everybody knew I'm going to die. But they failed to realize something. That ambassadors don't die like that. That we came to this world to change the face of Africa. And you don't just kill our people like that. So I survived that. I went through all of that with all the other medical stuff that came in and out. Like as I said before. Because the mission I have is not yet completed.
For now, we'll actually have a short break. Just a really short break, about 3 minutes break, which we're going to do. And we'll play some music as well during that break. So we can rest and we can chat a little bit off screen. And then our viewers can actually prepare themselves soon for the phone calls. But we're still on your hospital bed and how you survive it all the way through to Nigeria. We're going to come to that journey through to the UK and America at the moment. And through to your journey up to here today. So we still have a little bit fair journey to go through. So is that okay, sir?
That's okay.
That's fine. We'll take a short break.
I was in a tunnel and couldn't see the light.
Oh, nah, not again, not again. I've been duped.
Hello, Kweku.
How long will you continue to fall for these unscrupulous landowners? This is the second time, huh? Do you want a hassle-free, litigation-free life when it comes to owning a property in Ghana? Look no further. Royal Valley Estates, RVE, is your answer. RVE is located at Bawaleshi near Valley View University on the Adenta to Dodowa Highway, Accra, Ghana. RVE is a gated community with 24-hour security. 300 houses will be constructed at RVE, comprising of 3-bedroom, semi-detached and 3-bedroom detached houses. The plot sizes at RVE are generous. Mortgages and flexible payment options available to qualified applicants. Rush now and own a house in Ghana. For more information, contact Pastor Joe Kissinger Anochi on 0790-479-3019. You can also contact Reverend Francis Nunu on 0744-049-4271 and also on 0744-8054-930. You can also email him at fs.nunu@gmail.com. You can also visit us at www.royalvalleyestates.gh.com. RVE, a place you can call home.
I can feel heaven, heaven over me.
Freedom Records.
Ebeneza Akwanga, Ebeneza Akwanga, Ebeneza Akwanga, Ebeneza Akwanga, Ebeneza Akwanga, Ebeneza Akwanga. Aye, Lord, free the Amazonians. Aye, Lord, save the Amazonians. Aye, Lord, free the Amazonians. Aye, Lord, protect the Amazonians. Ebeneza Akwanga, 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 Ebeneza Akwanga. Yele ma, yele mama, yele ma, yele mama, yele ma, yele mama, yele mama, Ebeneza Akwanga, 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 Ebeneza Akwanga. Ebenezer Akwanga, Ebenezer Akwanga, Ebenezer Akwanga, Ebenezer Akwanga. Yelema, tatanu beriwe, 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 yelema, tatanu beriwe. Ebenezer Akwanga, 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 Ebenezer Akwanga. Yele Ambazonians, never give up the fight. Yelelema, yele Ambazonians, never give up the fight. Yelelema, yele Ambazonians, never give up the fight. Yelelema, yele Ambazonians, never give up the fight.
I believe in the risen one. I believe I overcome.
My Journey, your one-stop destination to the supernatural on Star Radio UK. What's the hidden truth or mysteries behind the supernatural? Do angels exist? Is healing and miracles for today? Can I hear the voice of God? What's the secret to their success in ministry or calling? Can my eyes be open to see beyond the natural? Can I operate in the gifts of the Holy Spirit? My Journey is your one-stop destination to the supernatural on Star Radio UK. Join your host, Captain Tete, at 4 p.m. on My Journey, your one-stop destination to the supernatural.
I was covered in
Stop crying, I can't stand the sound. Your pain is painful and it's staring me down. I hear glasses breaking as I sit up in my bed.
Listen to Aunties Mary and Lottie on the Family Enrichment Program, the program that spices your family life. Today's typical family is under pressure from various directions. Divorce is on the increase. More and more of the Afro-Caribbean youth are taking to crime, etc. The Family Enrichment Program brings together a team of qualified experts to discuss and shed light on how we can make our families better and stronger. It is said the family can do without the society, but the society can't. Listen to the Family Enrichment Program this and every Saturday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Star Radio UK, your favourite Afro-Caribbean radio station in London.
Download our app in iTunes and the Google Play Store.
Let's go back to that.
Welcome back to Calabashad Talk. This is Francis K. We just went for a short break there because we've been going on and on. So it's good to have a break in everything we're doing, basically. And we'll start again. Dr. Ebenezer Akwanga, Calabashad Talk. Welcome.
Thank you.
And thank you for honoring this invitation. I appreciate you being around here. We've learned a lot about your journey. We've learned about where you were born, your parents, your family, through your struggle through prison, 7 years, and you were actually sentenced to 20 years, but you did 7 years escaping from prison. We've learned through your hospital stays and everything else. And now we continue in the journey just before we start picking up phone calls from our listeners and viewers at home. We were in hospital before the break, your journey through the hospital. Can you tell us a little bit? I believe the viewers at home and the listeners will want to find out, because you've told us already what motivated you and what actually gave you the drive. We know it was God blessing that took you out of that situation. How did you escape from prison?
That's a nice one. Unfortunately, this is an ongoing struggle, and they keep kidnapping our people from now and then and taking them over to Yaoundé and lock them up. I have said that when all the dust would have settled and we would have hoisted our flag at the top of the Prime Minister's lodge in Boya, when we would have put a government in place, when we would have created the institutions of states, when we would have defended our homeland, I will be able to tell the story. The particular story about my escape.
Okay, that's fine.
And the reason is simple. I can't let the cat out of the bag now.
Okay.
Because there are other Amazonians, Southern Cameroonians or whatever, who are going to situations similar or near similar to what I'm going through. And who knows what might be in the offering.
Who helped you to escape prison?
I don't like using the word escape much. I always say that liberated from prison.
Liberated from prison.
The Southern Cameroon's Youth League. I said it was a 3 years process.
Okay.
I was evicted from prison by the Delta Force of the Southern Cameroon's Defense Force. They worked for 3 years and got me out of prison. The goal was not just to get me out of prison. We wanted to teach a lesson to Yaoundé that when we put our hearts on something, there's nothing that can stop us. We can do it. So the team set up this process for 3 years and they executed it perfectly.
Okay. Still didn't answer my question, but we'll leave that part of the question. We did respect your opinion. It's not going to be telling now till later on, possibly in a book or in a movie about you.
Well, possibly after freedom must have come, because we don't want to let the cat out of the bag.
Do you believe that freedom will ever come?
If I do not believe that there is freedom that is already around the corner, I will not be sitting here before you today. What we as a people are going through at this moment is called the darkest hour before dawn. We know freedom will come through our struggles. Freedom will not come through the inevitability of doing nothing. Freedom will only come when we will realize that the policy of 3H, the philosophy of 3H, this liberation philosophy, where the heads must work with the heart and the head must come together to push the hand to complete the job. And the hand is supposed to create that avenue where the head and the heart can truly flourish. That is when we will achieve our goals.
Okay. I'm going to ask a question now, which it's your wish to answer, or you can actually not answer it. It's not really for you to answer, but I would love for you to answer it, and I believe our listeners and even your people will love for you to answer this question. It's about finances, because in every single movement, finance is a big issue. Finance is a big problem. And you've got lots of people at the moment who are back home looking up to you and looking up to the movement, people who believe in your movement. Where are these finances coming from to actually support the movement?
The issue of finance has been one of the most difficult situation for our struggle all this while. And the reason is simple. Despite the very strong diaspora community that we have, 55 years in annexation has impacted negatively in the psyche of our people. This is the truth of it. There are people from our homeland who are well-to-do, but who are so scared, who want freedom, but are so scared to do what is necessary for that freedom to become a reality. As I said, they want freedom, but they know what to do, but they are so scared in doing that. They think that when La République du Cameroon kill 5, 10, 15, 20 of our people, it is far better to them than letting us rise up as one people and say, we have got enough. We will better die 100, 200 and have our freedom once and for all than to allow this continuous chipping away of our youth day by day, weeks by weeks, month by month, and year by year. So finances has been a problem, but our people are coming together at this moment. As long as we come together for freedom, we will be able to prosecute that goal. The difficulties we are facing, we are not like liberation movements or a people looking for freedom like those in the 60s. Those in the 60s were lucky because the Cold War created that avenue where you are either backed by a capitalist inclined state or a communist inclined state, where states were backing liberation movements around the world, and it was so easy. So ours is a little bit complex because though we live in a global world, in a world of the, you know what geopolitics is all about.
So the finances, let's get back to the finances, because during the movement, especially the youth in Cameroon, in southern Cameroon at the moment, my pardon, and it's a struggle for them. There's no school at the moment, which we're all aware of. Medical facilities is a big problem. It's a big issue in southern Cameroon at the moment. And I believe, according to reports we have, the teachers are on strike.
And the lawyers too.
And the lawyers too are on strike. So, in order for the movement to go forward, it needs a lot of money to finance that movement, which you believed in. Some might not believe in it. I'll ask the question again. How are you funding this movement?
The only way we have funds is from us. Okay. Our people who are in the diaspora are putting in from their pockets whatever little they have. Okay. That is why my message has always been that we must count first upon ourselves before asking others to back us. We count on ourselves, and we also count on other benevolent Africans that we might tend to. We might ask you as an individual, not as a journalist, do you believe that our people need freedom? What can you do to help us? We can turn to the next brother, the next sister. So we travel all around the world, especially within Africa, hoping that our people who are well placed, who are feeling the pinch, because he who wears the shoes knows where he's pinching, will be able to do something that will be able to galvanize our people and come together. So the diaspora is doing a lot of work. This is the truth. But I can assure you that we haven't done enough. Because when we would have done enough, it will not just be Star Radio UK that will have to invite me. It will be the other names that you know that will keep picking up the phones and calling. We need to talk to X, we need to talk to Y, we need to find out what is going on.
Star UK, Radio UK, and Calabash Hat Talk invited.
And Calabash Hat Talk, I beg your pardon, important. But I want to assure you that when that hour will come, you will always have a first port of call. We will be there to talk to you and let you know what is happening. So financially, we are doing whatever it takes from the diaspora to see how we can push our struggle going. And because of the fear that the annexationists have against the diaspora, they shut down the internet for months now.
So there's no internet.
There's no internet in the entire land of Ambazonia. Southern Cameroon is in a blackout at this moment. So
your people cannot really watch your program live at the moment.
They can't watch my program. They can't even receive their salaries. If you send even money to any of the money, the money wiring organizations, they must travel to La République du Cameroon to collect that money. It is a very difficult journey. The roads are in horrible states. There are accidents, and then just traveling with your phone is already a crime. because the car will be stopped, your phones will be seized, they will be checked, and pray that you don't have any exchange with Dr. Akwanga.
Who is Dr. Akwanga?
You know Dr. Akwanga. Otherwise, you'll be sentenced to death. Or maybe some other Southern Cameroonian, Lucas Chua, and all the others who are fighting.
So I'm asking, who is Dr. Akwanga?
Dr. Akwanga is amongst those who is struggling to make sure his people can see that dawn of freedom.
That's a good response. Thank you. So, Dr. Akwanga, would you say that the Cameroonian people at the moment, the Southern Cameroon at the moment, forgive me, the Southern Cameroonian at the moment, right? Would you say it is, I know you're not going to agree with me, but they're struggling, they're suffering, and they're killing them according to reports we all watch on Facebook and also report from the news and a report that are coming out. And there's no internet, it's no good. You've already said it's no no, they're not really part of the Central Cameroon.
La République du Cameroun.
La République de Cameroon. Would you say it's better off for them to join La République de Cameroon so that things can actually go amicably?
When you ask that, is it better to join?
Yes.
We came together in 1961 after a plebiscite was organized on Saturday, the 11th of February 1961. The Northern Cameroons voted, British Northern Cameroons voted overwhelmingly. I think 1,000 and let me give you the statistics. Okay. It's important. British Northern Cameroons voted 97,659 to join Nigeria, while 146,296 voted to join Nigeria, and 97,659, beg your pardon, voted to join La République du Cameroun, which means the British Northern Cameroons voted overwhelmingly to join Nigeria. The Southern Cameroons, which today we call Ambazonia, voted 97,741. You can see the slight difference. Almost the same 97,000 and something to vote Nigeria. While 233,571 voted to join La République du Cameroun, which was already independence. In other words, 42.42% of British Northern Cameroonians and Southern Cameroonians voted to join Nigeria, while 57.58% voted to join La République du Cameroun. And the reason is simple. They did not say voted to become slaves of La République du Cameroun. They said to join.
To join.
That is the key word, to join. I don't like using the allusion of a man and a woman because there's always an issue of domination.
So why is there still differences then?
No, I'm coming. So what I'm trying to explain to you is that we have been together. Because you talk of us joining La République du Cameroun to come together. So what I want you to know is that we have been together. And for 55 years, when we accepted to join these people, after we have walked out of Nigeria, it was like we didn't have it well with Nigeria. Maybe let's try this other side and see whether it will work. I don't need to go into the ramifications about the Union Treaty and the rest which did not work. But when we joined these people, we thought we were joining fellow human beings. Little did we know that while we were going in good faith, they were already plotting on how they will enslave and annex us. So from day one, they came into this joining issue in bad and evil faith. We went in blind, thinking that these are human beings. We can negotiate with them. I don't want to talk of the part the United Kingdom or the UK or France played. I am saying that from the perspective of human being, these guys came into this thing well planned on how they will enslave and finally annex us. So we have been together with them. And why we are saying that we've got enough, why our teachers, our lawyers are on strike, Why our entire land is at this state in darkness is because we have said, we have had enough. You hit us here, we turn the other cheek, you hit us. We no longer have any other cheek for these people to hit on. The only thing they have now is to squeeze out the last breath that we still have.
This is
and
Star
we need to stand
Radio
up for that.
UK.
So, Dr. Akwanga, your journey and your story is very remarkable. I'll open the phone line for anyone that wants to call in. You can phone in now, and we can actually have a discussion through that as well. We can listen to other people's opinion. So the phone line is open now. You can phone in. It's all good. But since we're waiting for the phone call, we go through your journey now. Out of prison. So when you came out of prison, you went first to Nigeria and stayed in Nigeria. How long did you stay in Nigeria for?
3 years.
3 years. Did they actually accept you?
Yes, Nigeria gave me refugee status, but it was for technical purposes. And for the 3 years I stayed in Nigeria, I missed 4 assassinations attempts there, plus
In
one that I
Nigeria.
have missed here. I've missed back in southern Cameroon. So 5 assassinations attempts. And then the federal government was a little bit worried that I might be killed in Nigeria. They emphasized on the UN that they should whisk me out of Nigeria with my kids and my delegation. I was there with a delegation of about 27 persons.
Wow.
They are all now in the United States, were settled as US citizens.
Okay, that's good. And when you actually went to America yourself, you came back to the you came to the UK because you had your university education in the UK, basically. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I had my doctorate degree from the University of KwaZulu-Natal, the premier university of Africa. Then I came to the UK to start another doctoral program on a different area.
Okay.
Because I have specialized on the issue of gorilla mentality studies.
Okay.
Yes, I've been preparing this for so many years. My doctorate is based on South Sudan. My master's was on the Sudan, the Comprehensive Peace Agreement, and my doctorate is actually on the issue of nation building in South Sudan.
So you're building your own nation at the
Yes, so
moment.
you need to learn these things. You need to see where they are fault at to make sure these things don't happen. You need to understand the difficulties that gorillas have to navigate from leaving the bush, in quote. The bush is not necessarily supposed to be a forest. From leaving the bush, the gorilla tactics and all other tactics to the position of governance. Because if you don't get this right, then people will keep on failing. We are not in the era of UNITA and Renamo, Frelimo and all the rest. We have passed that era. So we are now in a modern era where we must learn these things. That is the advantage we have. To know how these people prosecute their struggles. To know where they err. To take the positive side of what they have done. Look at the negative area and try to make sure we don't fall there. But as humans, we know there will be errors. But let us do whatever it takes to minimize it. So that when our time comes, which actually it has come, we will be able to have our freedom and make sure that we don't get into a more chaotic position.
Okay, that is fine. So what university in the UK did you attend?
I went to the University of Birmingham.
Birmingham
Yeah.
University. How was your journey and your stay through there?
It was okay, it was beautiful, but unfortunately, you know, when you find yourself in an environment which is cosmopolitan, but in the University of Birmingham, realized that the people there, frankly, many did not understand me. They were looking at me from a different perspective, like this, he's vibrant, he's strong. Has he ever gone to prison? What is going on? What type of a man is this? But in a nutshell, it was a beautiful beautiful cooperation between myself and the University of Birmingham and the lecturers and everybody I met there.
And you came back recently, well, a couple of years ago, and you gave a talk at the university there.
Yes, I've given a talk or two in the University of Birmingham. I've given talks also like in Florida State University, in the United States and different areas. Norwich University,
And
where I
one
did
of
my
your
master's.
talk, you actually had a quote on that talk, which I've read, and I just think it would be good for me to bring it out to you, because that's one of the interesting quotes. It said, "Deep in my heart, I am happy for what I did. I paid the price for it." How would you describe that today? Deep in my heart, I am happy for what I did. I paid the price for it.
As I said it before, I have never regretted, and neither am I going to regret or apologize. I am prepared to do whatever it takes for the freedom of my people. I will steal for them. I am sorry to say this. I will kill for them. I will do whatever it takes if that will bring freedom. I won't go out butchering people. But if I have to stand and look at the other side and say, these are murderers, if I don't stop them, they will extinct my entire people.
Have you ever killed someone before in your life?
To kill someone? Well, if you look at it from a theological perspective, I must have killed so many people.
Physically?
Physically? I haven't killed yet because the people of Ambazonia are very peaceful people.
Okay.
Maybe if we have started defending our homeland, it might have happened. But in the time of war, you don't really think you are killing. You think you are defending.
So as a man, yourself as an individual, not as an activist, what do you believe in yourself? We've learned a lot about you. I've got my own perspective, but I want to hear it from you.
I believe in the infinite nature of freedom. I don't just say man was born free. I think freedom is a necessity for human survival. I don't talk about liberty and equality. I want it to be real. I believe in checks and orders. I equally also believe that there are times that another man's freedom begins where another man's freedom ends. But I equally believe in what I call the inelasticity of freedom. That you cannot quantify freedom because freedom is the very existence of man. That is what I believe in me. And I believe that if we as people see things this way, people at times say I philosophize a lot. I don't philosophize a lot. Yes, I've read a lot. I've seen a lot. But when you find a situation where our culture, our way of life, even our traditional rulers, that our people are not being trained to love one another. We are being trained by the annexationists that the only way we can survive is to hate one another. That we should become greedy. That our individual stomach surpasses
This is Star
the
Radio
job of being good
UK.
Samaritans. Then you begin to know that that particular society has its own level of civilization eroded.
Okay.
So we have to bring that back.
And one of your quotes as well, this is the final quote I'm taking from you, that you actually have online. It says, written, the pen is bigger than any weapon in the world. And you have it. So at the moment in Cameroon, because I can clearly tell you believe in education, and your people back home are not being educated, is there anything at all you can do about it? Because it's easy for us to talk about our people back home. It's easy for you to sit in Star Radio today on Calabash and talk about your people, how you have love for your people. But you are actually in America. You have all the luxury there. You're free in America as long as you're in that land. But the people back home are suffering and they're going through a lot. So some of them might say, oh, Mr. Akwanga, you're actually fine because you're abroad, but we in Cameroon, we don't really know, you don't know the suffering we're going through right now. Is there any plan you've got for those people at all to help them back into education, to help them to get micro businesses, to help them financially, to help them morally, to support those people to actually come out like the way you have today?
Let me respond to you in this way. There is no doubt that my people, our people, the people of Ambazonia, are caged. Our entire land is under annexation. But for any individual who knows my individual story and yet goes around to say I am saying X or Y because I'm in the United States, that individual does not know who I am, does not know who I am made of, and does not understand the very struggle that they are purporting to be involved in. Because what I say here are the same things I said in 1993, 1994, and 1995. And by then, I was not in the United States. I was in Boya, in the land of Ambazonia, the land of General Kuvali Kenya, the land of the Southern Cameroons. I have not changed one bit. The only changes that you see in me is the 57 kilos that I lost when I was locked up at the Kondenge Maximum Security Prison. I might have become more feebler than how I was before. My attitude towards this struggle has not changed. I am uncompromising and I am unapologetic. I have said to people that when it comes to the issue of truth, I owe no apologies. I owe only one thing: my honor to God. I respect ITS. I don't respect persons. I don't respect you because you are a doctor, you are a professor, you are a chief. I respect you if you stand for freedom and you are willing not to give in to that freedom because it is your peer, somebody of your age group, somebody of your tribe, somebody of your zone who is saying X or Y, so you blindly follow them. No, I want people to be very, very realistic. Can you show me where an individual who have suffered, or a people who have suffered, because I have said my suffering epitomizes the suffering of my people. I don't like talking about myself. Unfortunately, my history is their history. It's a situation like that of Mandela. So you must always have the history of somebody which is wrapped up in the history of the people. So when La République du Cameroon did all what they did to me, they were not doing it to Akwanga Ebenezer or Ebenezer Derek Mbongo Akwanga. They were doing it to the people of Ambazonia, to the people of the Southern Cameroon.
So do you actually compare your struggle to that one of Nelson Mandela?
Nelson Mandela's struggle is a little bit more easier because these were blacks facing whites. I am telling you that black on black, man's inhumanity to man is worse than anything. Look, just imagine for 1 second, if blacks were fighting blacks in South Africa, what would have happened? It would have been carnage. I am sorry to say this, I'm a black man, I'm an African, I'm a Pan-Africanist. It would have been carnaged. I don't want to say what the racist apartheid regime did in South Africa was milder. But we have seen examples in South Africa and elsewhere in Africa that if it was black versus black, look at what La République is doing to us. Can you arrest somebody and feed that person with human feces for 2 weeks and urine? What level of barbarism is that? Can you do that? Can you open fire at a 13-year-old child on the buttocks? Can you arrest a 5-year-old child with an armband going to school because you are looking for the dad? Can you get into somebody's house, pull the man up from his bed and rape the wife and then shoot the man and then make sure that the doctor writes a report that he died of heart attack? Can you do that? Can you be celebrating with footballers while you have sent troops to go to another people's land, killing everybody? Can you take off with your wife and your family? Give up 19% of our oil resources to the Federation of Switzerland every year only because you want to live there with your family. 19% of our oil is given to Switzerland by La République du Cameroon. Mortgage already to them.
Do you have evidence of that?
What evidence do you want? When it's the same question Paul Biya asked us, to give evidence that there are people who are corrupt. The evidence are there. What is his salary? He's bought mansions all over. Tell me how much what his salary is. No, you tell me, because the question is, do you have evidence? How many times have they said they are the worst corrupt country in the world? Do you want me to give you evidence that I was sexually molested? Do you also want me to give you evidence that they fed me with human feces and urine? Do you want me to give you evidence that they killed Julius Ngundi? Do you want me to give you evidence that Ngwa Richard Fomuso was put on empty spring in the Yaoundé Kondenge Maximum Security Prison? Empty spring. They called me to come on the 12th, this Vono bed. Somebody who was crying, my stomach. And then Ngwa Richard did not die on that spring. He died on the floor under that spring. I was the first person to see him. And at the corpse that was beside Ngwa Richard, a big rat has already removed the 2 eyes of the person. Another corpse, when Ngwa Richard was taken into, a rat has eaten the scrotum. Do you want me to tell you that? Or do you want to believe, or you don't want to believe that I slept in Kondenge with 2 corpses beside me, and I was pushing these corpses thinking that there were people who were alive? What else do you want me to tell you? That Fine Lawrence Yaoundé was buried at Soa in a mass grave, which is against the culture of the people of Ambazonia? Do you want me to also tell you that Kang Zakaria Ndifed had his toes amputated, or had Tete Philip died? Or do you want me to remind you and the rest of the world that as we speak at this moment, there are Southern Cameroonians at the central prison in Bamenda who were first sentenced alongside me to life imprisonment for no crimes they committed and are serving 25 years. And there is one of them, Gek Simon Kui, who is above 80 years. There is Lukang Jubam Hassan, and there is equally Edwin Jumven, who was asked to sleep with some girls so that they can deceive him to get information which was not coming. A shepherd who came to prison could not speak Pidgin nor French except his local dialect, but he has now been able to speak French. What else do you want me to tell you? That even those who went to negotiate with them were arrested. That if they come to look for you in the southern Cameroons, in the land of Ambazonia, and they don't have you, any one of your family member or friend becomes the next victim. What else do you want me to say? The only reason why the conscience of the world is not yet pricked is because we have taken this notion of peace, in quote, to the extreme. We have made ourselves to a level of coward. We are like laughing stock. We go somewhere and negotiate. We've been everywhere. When we go and negotiate and talk, they keep telling us, you must start helping yourself, then we can help you. So the evidence are there. Everybody knows who Bia is. He's bankrolled our entire natural resources.
The phone calls not coming in again. I think everyone is keep enjoying the program, listening to you talking at the moment. We're coming towards the end of the program now. And this is Calabash Art Talk. Thank you ever so much for honoring the invitation, for coming in. And you live in America now with your family, and your people are still suffering in Cameroon. And today you actually have the opportunity to come and tell your story through the journey of the Calabash. And also you do have a couple of talks as well coming up whilst you're in the UK. Why did you think to stop here at the agency, the border agency today, coming in?
I can't really respond to that. I've said I'll be able to talk well to the people tomorrow during the town hall, which is taking place at Essex. And I've asked every Southern Cameroonian or Ambazonian who is either around the London metropolis or in the Midlands or in the Eastlands or wherever in the UK, or Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, even Ireland, to come over to London so that tomorrow we can have a frank talk. But one thing is certain. A certain state was trying to stop me from coming to London. They might have been scared of the strength of Calabash Hard Talk, or they might have been worried that if he goes and meet his people and talk to them, the galvanization will take a more different tone. But I'm not worried about that. It is just part of the struggle. The 3 hours I spent there and the simple word of we are sorry, I am not worried about that. These are necessities for the struggle.
Who is the leader? Or do you have a leader at the moment in Southern Cameroon, the movement? And who is that leader?
Well, if you are looking for a leader, because if you said who is the leader, there are many people who are coming up and who are bright, who are capable of leading our people. But if you are looking for a leader of the struggle, you have to look at it from the range of metamorphosis. How do you get a leader of the struggle? You get a leader of the struggle from the history of that struggle. Someone or people who have been there from inception, have never wavered, have never given up. Who is a leader and who is the leader of the Southern Cameroon struggle? Who else do you want? This is not chocolate. This is not a struggle for power. This is not taking over power in Yaoundé. This is a risky job to fight for the liberation of a people. It's very easy for anybody to sign a piece of paper as a leader to come out.
This is Star Radio UK.
But there comes a time when the people themselves deep in their heart know that if I bet on this and that persons, they will be able to free us. I've said it before. Nelson Mandela was not originally a member of the African National Congress. When he went to prison, the situation that led for him to be the one to lead the negotiations was very rupturous because the older generation in there were not too happy. Unfortunately, that is what history is all about.
Do you miss your home?
Do I miss home? I miss home so much because when my mom died on the 21st of August 2003, I've not even seen the corpse of my mom laying in state. I've seen where she was buried. I was lucky to see that of my dad, who died a month after my mom, because I watched his pictures while in Abuja. That is where I was born. That is where my umbilical cord was buried. And there is no place as sweet as home. I want to go back home.
Going back home?
I want to go back home. And the sooner the better for me. I have to go back home. And whatever it takes. That is why I keep telling people that I treat this struggle personal. That even if I am the only one standing, I will not give up. At least, even if it means it's the only way I can go back home. But I can tell you there are millions of Ambazonians who are willing to pay the ultimate sacrifice to make sure that I am free, they are free, their children and their children's children are free, so that we don't pass the buck to the next generation. We have to end this annexation. We have to end this enslavement of our homeland. We as a people must rise up now and be counted amongst men.
This is your opportunity to send a message out there to your people. So what message would you like to send out there?
I want them to be hopeful. As I've said it before, that in struggles like this, no true struggle have moved on a straight line. There are always curves and bends. But those curves and bends are not there to discourage them. It is there to strengthen them. I will speak to them. I am not perfect. There are times I might come here and say certain things I am not supposed to say. That our people should focus on the positivity in the struggle. That they should keep themselves away from negativity. We know we are human beings. Let them look at the positive end of things. Let them stay focused. Because while we are preparing for freedom, the annexationist is equally working very hard to make sure we remain in our slave status. So when they put that in their mind, they will be able to walk to triple the way they are walking, to quadruple it, so that we don't give up. So hope is very important. Let us not forget the Bible teaches us something about faith. What is faith? It's believing in the unknown. Something you can't see, you can't touch, but you believe it is there. Nobody has seen paradise. Nobody has seen heaven. The Catholics talk about purgatory. Nobody has seen it. But we can tell you that we have seen hell because we are in hell. This is what Dante calls the hottest places in hell. That is what the annexationists La République du Cameroon have put us. So to my people, hope, hope, hope. Because even if I die, I have seen people. I have seen men. I have seen women. Not just the Lucas Chwayaba. Not just the struggles of Benedict Mwana. Not just the struggles of the Anyangwes. Not just what young men like Tapang Ivo or Mark Barretta are doing online. Not just the struggles of the Mfos, the Tasang, the Agbobala, the BBC mantra of the Coffin Revolution, or the Neba Fontaine. Not the struggles of the Tinkorat, the Ngalim Felix. Not those who gave their life, like Divine Sambela, Julius Akom, Julius Ngundi, Chenomo Martin Che. Not those who were brutally killed, like Josh Shinyu, Ntaneng Daniel, Emmanuel Conce, Yimbun Patrick. Not those who died leaving their children at early ages, not knowing what they will become about. Those children that have been tacitly abandoned by us, the people, because we have been pushed to the wall and pushed to that position, that they should have hope. That is our first call, our first weapon of defense. Hope that what we are doing is right. That guilt should not be anything amongst them. That they should throw away any iota of guilt in what they are doing. They should accept whatever labeling is thrown to them. From terrorists to extremists to rebels, let them accept it. Let them wear it as a breastplate. Because if they don't do that, we will be letting the annexationists call one over us. So they should be hopeful, because freedom is coming soon.
Thank you ever so much for coming into Calabash Art Talk, and it was a journey. and we've loved every minute of that journey. And we've learned a lot about yourself. We've learned about your struggle. We've learned about your passion. We've learned about how you're activist, I call it a rebel. So before I finish, as this is Calabash Art Talk, have you ever seen a calabash before?
I'm an African. I live with this every day. We carry water in it. We eat even inside calabash. So we use it for so many things. As an African also, I've seen it used to put in cowries where you go to wash the dibia. The magicians and the rest.
Yes.
You find the calabash in their shrines. We also find it in our churches. We use it to play drums.
Yes.
So we use the calabash for so many things. It is a beautiful symbol of the land where civilization started, the land of Africa.
Thank you ever so much. So now can you give a shout out to Star Radio UK and also to Calabash Art Talk?
I just want to wholeheartedly thank Star Radio UK and Calabash Art Talk for asking me to come over here to sit here for close to 2 hours and talk about the story of my people, which is epitomized in my individual story. I am grateful beyond words, and I hope that somehow when I come here next, the situation of my homeland will be different positively. So I want to thank you, and I want to encourage you to continue to do the good work you are doing. But never forget that you might not be a blood-born Amazonian, but from today you should each start feeling like an Amazonian, because the plight of my people is the plight of Africa. We know how we have suffered. We don't know those who passed through the walls of the slave castle in Ghana. They were surely Amazonians who passed through that land. So we are all one, and let us start seeing ourselves as one. If we do not come together and end this yoke of tyranny in our homeland, to redraw the map of Africa so that people who speak the same language, understand the same culture, can live together in peace. Because what Africa needs is a permanent positive peace, not negative temporal peace, which is the existence of fear from destructive regimes and annexationist regimes. So I want to thank you very much.
Thank you. This is Calabash Art Talk, and you've actually listened to Dr. Ebenezer Akwanga's story and his journey as well. So we're going to leave you today with a wise word, as I always do at the end of the program. In this life, never forget who you are, and always follow your dreams, because you never know what path it's going to lead you onto. Stay blessed and have a blessed week. Till next week again. This is your girl Frances K, and on behalf of Star Radio, we say good night.
Tatanu berry where yelema, 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 tatanu berry where yelema.